kill. So you have to really kind of make decisive choices on if you're going to engage on these and actually take a fight, or if you want to just not get staggered out and let the cap come through. As we are going to have the initial ban out from Vinderive, going to be that Symmetra. So definitely makes sense to me. The Sim, of course, getting so much more playtime, but I think also on these escort maps where you don't necessarily have as much kind of vertical distance to go, the Sim TP is so nice for just avoiding a lot of that spam poke damage.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the verticality would be nice with those teleporters, but of course there are other characters that can use that verticality to their own advantage, so you're kind of just taking the easy way out of the whole team can easily rotate by themselves. Second ban gonna be Zarya here. And honestly, I kind of like it. I mean, it shows you that you're basically running that dive again. You want to ensure that there's not going to be a brawl versus brawl. Of course, we still could get Ramatra Mirror, but for the most part, I'm thinking Winston and the Ana potentially.
Ooh, I do think that Shambali plays really nicely for double flex backline. The Ana Kiriko we get to see a little bit sometimes, not the Wu Yang, you know, kind of weird kind of flex slash main support, but I also think that could be an option here. The Zarya ban is big, definitely, from EXO. They saw that Vinderive wanted to play that momentarily kind of on Lighthouse, and I do think that Amity looked pretty good on the Zarya, you know, maybe not having as good of a time into the matchup where the Zarya is not able to kind of control those high grounds, but, you know, technically looked very good, and mechanically. So banning that out here, definitely. I am also kind of leaning towards the dive. Yeah, I know, it's a good poke map too, though. Not that we've seen a lot of poke from either of these teams on Ilios, or any at all, really, but there's some really long sightlines on Shambali, and I think that heroes like Ashe and the Sojourn, even the Freya, I think all of them could play really, really well in here if either of these teams are kind of looking for more of that DPS duel rather than the tank matchup.
I think looking back at it now, like after I've had a few seconds to think about it, I feel like I'd almost rather a Ramatra ban in this raid, right? Because Amity was super strong on that Zarya, like you mentioned, and so taking her off of it, if it was some sort of failsafe, would be kind of, I don't want to say rough, but maybe just not the plan that they had calculated for, right? If you are going dive and it's not working, what do you go to next? Is it the Ramatra or is it the Zarya? And I think that if this ban has considered that, then they are moving to that Ramatra, which this would telegraph that. But if it's not, right, you're just kind of leaving Amity out to dry there. I feel like maybe there's some things you could argue either way. But anyways, we head into the map and we get to see what they pick in the end. And for all we know, it'll be Junker Queen.
It's actually going to be Junker Queen, Lifeweaver, Bastion. I think that that's actually what the teams are sick of our nonsense meta compositions, and they just want to have some fun here. Map 2, you know, what are the stakes on map 2, really, right? We're not at match point yet. You can have fun. Sure, why not?
Hey, Rain, that gives me a great idea. You want to play in CAH next year, and we can just be a team of one-tricks that just... I'll play Zenyatta. We'll get, I don't know, a Reinhardt or something like that, Bastion. Let's do Torb Sim.
Yeah, let's do the Torb Sim. Let's get some of that clockwork strat going on here once upon a time. But yeah, it would be fun. I do not think that we would get very far. You and I definitely not, Ari. I don't think that we're getting very far against these teams. I don't think it's happening.
Okay, well that's what Rising's for.
That's right. Yeah, there we go. That's more my speed.
Either way, yeah, for those of you who don't know, by the way, this is the Challengers division. There is a Rising division. I believe the rank is Diamond 5 and lower, or something of that sort?
Diamond 1, yeah.
Diamond 1 lower.
Yeah, so no, less than a Master's Peak to play in Rising.
So there you go. If you guys are curious and feel you may not be able to stack up to these pros, well, maybe try your hand in a different division, get that experience out for you. Exo Sakura and Vinderive, though. Cameron, let's talk, okay? let's talk. The Zenyatta. I really want to see it. Is it going to happen? No. Is this a bait? Yes. But I appreciate you giving some love to my boy.
Back in the days of old, the Lucio Zenyatta backline making a reappearance here, you know, for Watch 2. All right, yeah, Vinderive can figure out their composition for the attack, but Exo are locked in for this, for the defense, at least to start here, and it is going to be looking like we're going to get those Ramattra mirrors that we were thinking about here. Zoe on the Mei. Ivory is going to be over on that Freya, and okay, Vinderive have walked. Yo, hurry. No, okay. Too much hope, too much hope. It is going to be the Lucio here.
I knew better. Don't you get my hopes up. Don't you try. Yeah, Cameron swapping over to that Kiriko, of course. Makes sense in terms of the current meta and all that's going on right now, but I like this play from Miss Sun, right? Obviously just kind of playing that off angle, applying that pressure just to make sure that players cannot just stand up at this high ground and have free range, although it seems like they really do have that free range right now. I want to see a little bit more value out of this flirt, shall we call it? A little bit of a flank. Miss Sun just still kind of struggling to get their own, just being a standstill really for Vinderive. Kind of put it that way.
All there. So you need to kind of find a kill off the back of it though, and a headshot coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinderive find their 3, and of course that will allow them to keep on walking forward. They'll take around that first corner, and now it's to the second corner that you mentioned, right? The 2 big hold spots. And, well, now you got to try your hand at this. You got 3 minutes to burn. Right? Obviously, if you're looking towards that full hold on the first point, but I'm also looking at Sakura's ultimates, and I'm not really seeing anything too close. Granted, Vinderive not much closer in their own right.
They aren't, but they definitely do have a lot more kind of poke potential with this Echo Sojourn versus the Mei and the Freya. Although the Freya has more damage output, Zoe on this Mei, very utility-based, right? You need to try and find the walls, and that's how you're trying to get the value out of this hero.
Let's see what we got going here. The Mei low at HP. Be careful, Zoe. I don't want to lose your life just quite yet. Said I don't think actually ever, but the Sun still again on this off angle, focusing beam potentially. No, that could be available very shortly. Then a tidal wave? Nope, it's instead Ebola, and that's going to be a shred on out. Mari very low on HP. Annihilation popped. Instead, she finds no value. She instead finds the floor, and Zoe will fall as well. Vinderive very much proving that this is their map for a reason.
Yeah, really impressive. I'm loving this tempo that Vinderive is putting out. And the thing is, with the Exo Sakura's comp, you're playing around these walls, but Vinderive playing this Echo and the Sojourn means that you're always going to be kind of on the angle. So you're really only ever catching out Amity here. And the supports for Vinderive doing a great job making sure that she stays alive anytime she does end up getting split. And now you have every ult to work with for Vinderive, save for that Kitsune Rush. But good news for Exo Sakura is that Colleen does have that Kitsune Rush, so you have an opportunity here to kind of have the better of an engagement, especially on Shambali. Lots of long sight lines to make this happen.
I would be so annoyed by Miss Sun right now, by the way. Like, it's just a pesky flyer in the other corner, but now instead you focused in that main fight, and ults galore being popped, and eventually with the beat, the Kitsune Rush, an Annihilation, an Overclock, it eventually still ends up being Vinderive who have those numbers. And Regime, although do manage to get one, that will be all she wrote. Vinderive continuing to just walk on forward after winning these fights.
Yeah, haven't really been slowed down too much. You know, a couple of fights happening on the cart where, you know, you stopped for just a moment, but ultimately Vinderive has come out on top and all of these fights so far. We are going to have Exo Sakura coming back into this, but Vinderive held on to 2 of the ultimates.
Mei copy, yeah, Ice Block forced on out. Both walls actually out, stacked on top of each other, if you will. Not often you see that one with the copy wall being the lower one. Blizzard on out, though, it will still have the effect. Mari, hello and goodbye. You'll be sent back to the spawn room. Regime as well. Amity waking on up here. That Zarya was super strong, but the Ramattra potentially even better. Fisticuffs, if you will, now gonna be whacking away in that back line, and eventually the cap comes through that second segment. All but completed.
Ooh, just under 4 minutes to get through this third point for Vinderive. April is still holding on to this lead. Cameron's gone ahead and builds up to the Kitsune Rush as well. Both those support ultimates to work with. You can open with the Kitsune Rush and then use that beat to sustain through this next fight. Ivory, she has the Overclock, the only ultimate currently ready for Sakura, but Mari is building up to this Annihilation and Colleen to the Kitsune Rush, but I go ahead and commit this first.
Well, 3 strikes and you're out. Give up on that target, go for a different one. Zoe will still fall in the end. Miss Sun punishes that, and the whip shots of the OC. But now, you get to the meat and potatoes of the fight. You're going to have your tanks brawling it around. And Miss Sun just hanging out towards their backline after they get that one-off angle pressure. They're feeling good to go. They don't need to go for a crazy other play. You have those numbers. Now you just jump in together. But Kitsune Rush, that's going to be matched by a beat. Boop actually boots people away, but it does not matter. Pauline still falls into the Ravenous Vortex. Annihilations will both be popped, and it will be cleaned on up. Vindarive constantly just berating Exo Sakura with bullets and beams and ultimates, and is there even going to be a touch? Well, there is, at least in the final moments, but again, how much juice is there to it? You've got the stickies to tag on the one, you've got the block for the player still on this card, and 1.23 meters is what it will take. Beat still in place, so don't forget, they still have that extra HP, but the headshot meets to regime, and you're not going to be happy with that one, especially as now Bion will shred the rest of your remaining teammates. Ravenous Vortex will slow down anybody on that backside of the point. 1.23 meters, still the case, still the trickles, but as those despawn timers get longer and longer, you have to imagine it's all but over, and eventually it is. Vindarive, full cap with 2 minutes on the clock left.
Yeah, 2 minutes is so fantastic. A little bit of stall at the very end there. You have to anticipate that's going to happen on any of these escort or hybrid maps, but ultimately the momentum just in the favor of Vindarive there, and Exo Sakura really caught on the back foot here. I mean, just look in the difference of these stats, Ari.
I'm looking.
Amity, 27 elims, 27-1. Cameron didn't die. Like, this is absolutely incredible numbers coming out here for Vindarive. And unfortunately, Exo Sakura, it just felt like they were always the ones trying to react here. We saw Mari kind of using those annihilations late in the fight to just try and stay alive, and it just wasn't quite enough to kind of keep in the fights, and Vindarive just barreling forward, honestly. Just didn't really get stopped until like the very end. I think the most time that was burnt off was at the very end of Shambali.
See, you were saying look at the stats, and I was like, I don't see anything crazy. I was looking at the other half, which was
healing, the
damage, the healing and the damage. But that goes to show you though that if they're doing about the same amount of damage, and one team is somehow pulling out 27 limbs or something like that, something is not going right on the side of Exo Sakura, whether that is, positioning, whether it's maybe not on the right characters, or just the target priority is off. Pauline, don't mess with me again. I know you're baiting. No. Okay, you're going for
Okay.
Oh, whoa!
Oh, okay, Pauline showing us where it's at. Oh my.
Well, that was so cool. You should, stick to the Zenyatta. No.
Take it. Okay, getting out April is really big here because that is the speed here for Vindarive to try and kite out of these engagements.
Never actually seen that been done before, so congrats. I was not expecting that 5-orb to go the way that it does. Miss Sun unfortunately falls a little bit down. Vindarive are actually being pushed back in about as equal of a standard as you saw before from actually Sakura on their defense, struggling. But this is also, by the way, Mari on the Orisa, which we have not talked about, just a little bit different, something to shake up the scene, and honestly, I'm all for it, right? Exo Sakura, gotta do whatever you can to win. If that is to pull out a wild card pick, then by all means go for it.
Yeah, the Orisa's nice because you can do more damage to Amity coming from further away, but you need to cycle through these cooldowns really perfectly because Orisa, it can get burnt down so quickly once you're just kind of left out in the open with no Javelin, no Fortify.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a tough character to play, but that's why these gamers are the pros. They know what they're doing, and that's why we're the Joes yapping away instead and watching them play, because they're absolutely insane. They can pull something out of nothing half the time, and Ari will be the first to find herself a pick in this fight. Ivory, of course, just spraying and praying away, but those railgun shots, they're gonna come singing on through eventually. Just a few more moments, of course, before potential other pick. There will be that re-engage with the Kitsune Rush, though. We're jumping all around this point. Sticky grenades, and focusing beams, and shields, and I mean, there's so much going on. You got even a Terror Surge in the mix, and it's Mari constantly being the spearhead. And no, I'm not referring to the Javelin Spin, but still, Exo Sakura find themselves needing to match the pace of Vindarive, and they do.
Yeah, Mari looks fantastic on this Orisa. Vindarive is having a very, very hard time taking her down, and that's the beauty of the Orisa, is that you just have so much HP, so much armor, so much utility. As long as you're timing it right, it takes so many resources to take you down.
Ivory finds one with the overclock. Not sure where that exactly happened, but maybe there's just being a bit too aggressive in their positioning potentially. Either way, is that a copy? Missun pops it in a two-person down fight and is using it just to get out of dodge. Oh, okay, never mind. It's a swap. That's what that would be.
Oh, that's tactical, actually. Very big brain from this son. Actually, she goes onto the Tracer just to get back to the spawn quickly. I like the Venture swap here. Trying to win more in this front line, right? We're talking about how strong the Orisa is, how much pressure that Mari is able to put onto Amity, but now having this son on this Venture, that's when you're going to be able to push back.
I like the play there, but Mari could get punished for it. No, Regime with the speed, allowing Mari to get on out of there. Make sure nobody gets punished more than they should be. Of course, Zoe now going to be in there like swimwear. Pulse bomb available, waiting for that over health, and beats Brunei to the face. We'll have to reset just for a moment and wait for those blinks to come back. But finally, it feels like we do have a bit of a halt in the fight. Exo Sakura just knocked back a peg.
And now Vindarive have this Annihilation from Amity to come back into this next fight. Sakura playing a little bit slow. I expect they're trying to build up to this Kitsune Rush from Pauline, because that could be what you need to break through this corner.
Oh, Amity finds two the Annihilation. Bion with a third, and there's the old Vindarive that we expected. Now, just don't see Knight. Just don't see Knight. Be careful. Okay, yeah. Okay, everything's good. Vindarive. They say, yes, this is our map pick. We are going to make sure that we end up winning it out. And sure, it took us a few seconds to get there in the end, but Missun, the off-angle pressure maybe not enough. Just needing that frontline grunt damage.
Yeah, the Venture is working out excellent here for Vindarive. Even if she isn't showing up in the kill feed as much, Missun is doing a lot of damage, forcing EXO kind of to back up a little bit, rethink their strategy. Now, though, Terra Surge and this Kitsune Rush ready to go from Sakura. Mari, just with the Terra Surge alone could be enough as these dueling Kitsunes come out on the point.
There's the Terra Surge, the Zuzu in the mix as well. Mari will fall, Regime as well. Vindarive, now 3 straight fights in a row where they have won things out. And sure, I guess the fights have been lost quick, so that is somewhat of a consolation for Exo Sakura, but yeah, you start looking towards, okay, if you're looking towards that 2-minute time bank that you need to match up, you've lost that pace for it.
Yeah, and committed ultimates into that losing fight as well, as Zoe is going to swap over to match on this Venture. But now, I mean, Vindarive are going to have both these DPS ults coming online. Ivory does have this overclock. We can see that Exo Sakura is pathing kind of towards this high ground. You want to get Ivory kind of up on a surprise angle here to catch Vindarive off guard, because they don't have a beat to work with.
See the 3-2-1 hard engage out there. Overclock is maybe it'll work. It looks a little bit risky, but in the end it does pay off. Regime and Mari each getting 1. Regime with 2, Mari with 2. Okay, and now Pauline with the final 5th. That's quick and easy apparently, as all these fights apparently are to beat. It's Vindarive to drop 1 now.
I love that flank from Ivory on the Sojourn. Although you don't necessarily get all the final blows from that overclock, you cause Vindarive to kind of back up, panic, and that is when Sakura Mari is able to just walk in on this Orisa. So really good job. Really good follow-up from Sakura to see that kind of engagement happening.
Let's see, overclock this one in by Bion, and at least meets the Orisa in the back lines. There you go. There's that secured elimination, just to make sure that, of course, that big HP target that usually propels the opponent's front line forward is not able to do that, and they have to be very slow to walk back. So, again, a nice time burner for Vindarive to kind of work with there, and again, already taking that time advantage now if you were to look at a potential second half.
And also looking at these counter swaps that have come in, Missun moved over onto the Pharah here.
Zoe immediately off of that Venture over onto the Echo to try and put a little bit of pressure on Missun and to try to help burn down Amity on this Ramatra that the Annihilation ready to go coming into this fight. Both beats available as well. I expect that we see the Annihilation in from Vindarive, probably a beat in response, but then April can just kind of go for that better beat and keep Vindarive aggressive.
I like this angle that Missun is taking. Be careful just not to step in at Ravenous Vortex or into Zoe's focusing beam, as that will most likely take you down to 0 HP. Zoe, once again, the back line. Sticky's unfortunately not going to tag on correctly. They'll pay with their life. And so again, now Exo Sakura could have been a bigger advantage, but now are kind of still in this position where they need to keep on being safe while they're pushing up here. Diligency is key, and so now, as they work towards their final fight and potentially something to get them into this final sort of positioning of where they need to be successful, it's going to be a beat on